capital gains tax when you sell a property. Now, if it's a single family, if it's your primary residence throughout the United States as it stands right now, this is not legal advice. Talk to your tax person. You get a tax exemption of up to 2 people for $250,000 each, as long as you're on title. That way you get that tax exemption. So if your parents bought a house in the 1970s for $70,000 and now it's worth $2 million, you get to step up your tax basis $500,000 on top of any improvements that your tax person will allow. So the rest of it is capital gains, and there's stipulations, right? So if you own it less than 2 years, then you have to pay short-term capital gains tax rates, which is basically your income level at the tiered rates system we have. Anything after 2 years, you get the long-term capital gains tax rates. A lot of people qualify for a 0% rate, but depending on your income and filing status, you might pay 15 or 20%. There's other ways of getting around that, like forming an LLC, starting your own little business, and getting some massive write-offs. If you have a business, you can do something called Section 179, I think it's called, where you can buy a big car, like a big Chevy Tahoe, Suburban, or anything that's over 6,000 pounds curb weight. You can write that off the first year, as long as it's a business. If you're an employee, you're W-2, then there's nothing really you can do about it. You can write that off over 5 years. Don't forget, you get write-offs on improvements that you do. Now, if you replace a roof, that's a catch-22. You have to do it because it's a maintenance thing, unless you decide to go from comp to cement tile roofs or what have you. So there's certain things you should always talk to your tax person about. Hey, I'm thinking about putting the Tesla solars on my roof. What do you think? If you buy it, you get to do that. If you lease it, you get to do that. If you're a house flipper, you're going to pay short-term capital gains tax on it. I always sit down with people and I show them the spreadsheet, and I have this little cost basis thing. You always have to talk to your tax person to make sure, because I'm talking general terms and your tax person will be more specific and tell you what you can and cannot get away with or should not get away with. Okay. That said, earlier this week, I mentioned the fact that you can, if you're that parent that's living in their house since the 70s, they bought it for $70,000 and now it's worth $2 million. If one of the parents pass away, you got to step up in tax basis for the day that person died. For example, I just sold a house in Hollister and the parents passed away March this year. So when you look at it, you get to take that thing. So I do a mini appraisal, or what I call a comparable market analysis, and I give that to you so you can take that to your tax person. You can get a full appraisal, which will cost you $700 or $800. Depending on your tax person, they may or may not accept my mini appraisal. The other thing too is you can move out of it and rent it for 2 years and then transfer that tax basis to another property through a 1031 exchange. Again, it's not tax advice. This is something where you would actually have to call somebody and make sure it makes sense for your scenario. I am not giving advice. This is just stuff that you have to be aware of when you strategically place stuff into the house. There's California state tax. If you take over your parents' house after they pass on and you sell it, you will have to pay capital gains tax there as well in California because it was not your primary residence. There's all sorts of little stipulations that you have to do. But again, make sure you talk to your tax person. It'll cost you $100, $200. It'll save you thousands. This segment of this episode is brought to you by the Home Inspection Checklist. Make sure you download this, even if you're thinking about selling in 3 years, because what you want to do is get all those repairs done. Do not think that this is a replacement for a professional home inspection. This in no way will take over from that, but you should have a checklist of things to repair and fix. There you go. What you get for $2 million in Santa Clara County, $2 million, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,065 square feet, built in 1959. And this is in Cambrian Park. Cambrian Park is between Willow Glen and Almaden. If you're looking at something that's not super expensive, this one feels like they took pictures with their iPhone and they just lightened it. And it doesn't have floor plan and pretty mediocre set of photos there. But that's what you get for $2 million. In Santa Clara County, $2 million in Knoxville, Tennessee, or Henderson, Nevada gets you a whole lot more. That's the reason why I'm putting these things out. This is what you get for $1 million in San Jose, Santa Clara County. Millstone Lane listing, $990,000. Just put on the market, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 1,451 square feet, built in 1988. The sucky thing about this is it's in an HOA. So this is Deer Run area. Yep. This is Chynoweth, and then Hayes, and then this is Frontier Village. But this is an HOA. You pay $116 a month. Let's take a look inside, see what the pictures look like. So the cool thing about this is nicer homes, right? Semi-newer. Don't forget, this is 1988. So they painted the counters, put in a new dishwasher, but left the stove and microwave with the black. I always recommend if you're going to do one, make them all stainless steel. Because look, this picture right here is mismatched. You have stainless steel, you have black and white oven and stove and microwave, and then a white refrigerator. I like the amount of pictures. Everything's white and bright. You can tell that these are professionally taken photography. They have drone pictures taken, which is nice. And there's a layout. That's nice. I love that they put the layout. If your agent doesn't do floor plans, your agent is out. There's no reason for them not to have a floor plan, right? Good for you, whoever this listing agent is. And fireplace, great room, entry, kitchen, garage, and then all the living spaces are upstairs. It looks pretty tight, but that's what you get for $1 million in Santa Clara County. Rates today have gone up just a tad bit. We're under 7% still for jumbos, 6.95, and 30-year VA is 6.25. $2 million, because that's our average is now $2.3 million. And assuming you have great credit, $400,000 down, your payment would be $9,800 a month. And you're close to 6.33. And like my title said in this video, this is what happens when the rates go below 6%. This is the way things are, right? When rates go down, buyers come out of the woodworks and there's a whole lot more competition. So my suggestion to you is if you're thinking about buying, do it sooner rather than later, unless you're afraid that the market's going to collapse like it hasn't in the last 18 years. But we're actually getting close to 2 years now since 2000. This right here, guys, is just this perfect analogy, right? Rates go down, and all of a sudden a firestorm happens. You have multiple offers, super bidding, and you are following everybody. It's like Little League soccer where all the kids start off playing their position and the ball goes over to the top right and all the kids rush over to that ball. And then the ball goes to the bottom left and all the kids rush over there. That's exactly what real estate's when the market is this crazy. It's not crazy right now. There's very little supply, very steady demand. Houses are still selling pretty quick. And here's the proof. This is February. Next week, we'll have the March numbers come in and we'll adjust this a bit. And we're all below 6 months. If you've been following me, you know that 6 months is about the mark where it shows that it's a buyer's market. Like here in Napa, we're showing it's a buyer's market, but it's really 2 or 3 months, like being in a recession. And here's a good look at Santa Clara County single-family homes, the consumption, months of inventory versus number of active. This is just showing we're nowhere near 6 months and we're nowhere near 1,000. For Santa Clara County, we need about 2,000 homes for sale, or minus 200 to make it a balanced market.